Hey everybody, this is RC from the Game Grave, bringing you my E3 2016 picks. This is actually my last one, and it's no secret to anybody what this is already. This is the new Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Love that subtitle. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at the trailer. Love all the animals in the game, by the way. This trailer shows off a bunch of the wild animals that are going to run around and fly around the land here. They look awesome. But yeah, we're going to take a look at the trailer, and then we're going to jump into a little bit of a demo that they would do on the Nintendo Treehouse there. The demo probably runs about 30 minutes, so I don't think we're going to watch the whole thing, but we're going to watch just enough so that way you get an idea of what to expect in this game. Now, everybody is really excited, obviously, because it's a new Zelda, but there's another reason why everybody's really excited. It's the fact that, look at this. The world is gigantic. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, okay, it's just everything you see right here. It's probably as big as Ocarina of Time, you know, it's just one area there. By the way, not to interrupt myself, but love the look of the horse in this game, too. But the game is actually gigantic. Now, in this particular demo, I don't remember if they actually show off the map or not. I think they do. But it'll give you an idea of the sheer scope of this game. It's huge. Hunting, gathering, cooking, lighting weeds on fire. I thought this was particularly funny, too. The beehive is chasing after the moblins. Different powers. You can raise ice blocks out of water. You can raise all kinds of stuff out of water, it looks like. That was a very odd cut for the trailer. I remember when that happened during the beginning of the Nintendo Treehouse showings on Tuesday. They showed that, and I thought that the trailer messed up, like that something was buffering, but no, I guess that's just how they cut it. Very strange. The other thing you notice right there in that scene when he's fighting the rock monsters is that Link gets to wear all kinds of different armor in this, too. This game, not just because of the size of it, but due to the scope and different systems and mechanics that are in it, this is a much different Zelda. It's a much more mature game. You still get that feeling of Zelda, but with all these new added gameplay features and mechanics. Stuff that you would find in, like, Skyrim is now in Zelda, which is weird. Now, it's probably not going to be as advanced as Skyrim, but it's going to be Nintendo's version of that, which is still pretty great. Breath of the Wild. Still love that subtitle. I think that's perfectly fitting for this demo and trailer and everything that they're showing for this game. So here we are in the demo playthrough. We're actually starting at the beginning of the game. Now, I guess what they were saying was, what they were really going for was they wanted the game to sort of start out how the original Legend of Zelda started out, where you just kind of show up and then you start your adventure. So Link is sort of brought to life, I guess, in a way. I don't know if he was a spirit. I don't know if you know, he's actually embodying a hero that has been laid in a tomb after his adventures. I'm not really sure. But regardless, he comes back to life here. And this demo sort of confirms what everybody, or I guess confirms in one way, that there's no choice of gender in this. Everybody was going crazy because they were like, oh, you get to play as a girl or a boy, your pick, Link or Linkle. But in this particular instance, you know, it's showing off that you just play as Link. So maybe that happens in the final game. Maybe you pick your gender before you start the game. I'm not sure. I guess that could still happen, but at least from here, it's confirmed that that's not the case.
Keep that rooted in the tradition.
So you notice here that there is a pedestal with some weird markings on it, almost Metroid-like. You're in the Shrine of Resurrection, so you've been resurrected in some way. It looks like there's constellations or something all over the walls. Now, everybody during the demo was very secretive about the story of the game. What's actually happening, where Link came from. So they kept it that way on purpose because they wanted you to just start exploring. And that's what the game is all about. So you start with this slate.
Guide you after your long slumber.
And the slate, I guess, is supposed to guide you around. Now, you're free to do whatever you want in the world, but there is a reminder from the slate like, hey, follow where the slate tells you to go, and that's basically the linearity of the story. I don't know if the game is going to be any more advanced or any more specific than that. Because, you know, you play some games where they give you quests and it leads you exactly to where you need to go. And this sounds like it's going to do that, but it's not going to tell you specifically why it is you're doing what you're doing. I mean, they haven't even told you why you're back or what you're back for. So we open the chest, we get an old shirt. And then you actually have an inventory. Look at this. How weird is that? You always had an inventory in the previous games, but it was very specific. It was like you had 3 spaces for armor because you knew you were going to get your regular armor, your water armor, and your fire armor, and that was it. In this, there's all kinds of different shirts and pants and armor to pick up. Not to mention weapons. A lot of different things can be used as weapons.
That would also make you very vulnerable to enemies.
You got your sword, obviously, but you can pick up clubs, you can pick up axes, you got your bow and arrow. Not to mention you have a shield. And one cool thing, I'm not sure if they'll be covering it in this demo. I watched so many of these demos, I don't remember what was in what. But you can actually snowboard down a mountain with your shield.
And opening this door here.
So you open this door. There's a very, you know, Fallout 4 reveal here. Or even Fallout 3 for that matter. You just see a bright light.
You are the light. Our light. That must shine upon Hyrule once again. Now go.
Now you notice that little green circle there too. Link actually has a stamina bar now.
And the jump is for him to climb up the wall.
So when you jump, swing, climb, whatever it is, it ticks down. And if you run out of stamina, look at this reveal, by the way. So beautiful. Love the art style in this game. And then the late title card right there. And by the way, you're playing a Legend of Zelda game, and no one is constantly like, hey Link, do this, hey Link, do that. Because that was always everybody's complaint. Everybody's complaint was always like, Navi the fairy is constantly badgering you on what to do. The beginning of the game takes too long for me to get started. So they've totally eliminated all of those things. You see there's a mysterious guy over there that we might want to go talk to. The Great Plateau. So yeah, back to what I was saying about the stamina bar though. If for example you are climbing, because Link does a lot of climbing in this. If you see a mountain or a temple or something like that, you can actually jump up the side of it and just climb to the top of it if you feel like it. But if your stamina bar runs out while you're doing that, you will fall. There's no like second chance there. So make sure you got enough when you're climbing. I'm assuming you'll be able to drink potions or eat food or something that gives you more stamina to be able to climb certain areas. Or even get armor that'll help you with that. So here's part of the gathering here. You can actually gather up these shrooms. And now they're starting to show off some of the rock climbing abilities here.
So Link can climb the mountain or the wall, just like you said, you saw here. So that is the green, you see the green gauge on the left. That's the stamina gauge, and you can kind of see how much you can climb by that gauge.
Pigeon flying away.
And then there's a lot of items scattered all around the world, and you can take
Yeah, so right now the demo isn't super exciting because they're just showing a little bit of the climbing, a little bit of the gathering here. But it will pick up in a second. I'll show off a few other things. Any of these boulders you see here, you can actually push, and they can roll down the hill. So if you see enemies down there and there's a boulder there, you can actually take them out with a boulder, which is pretty fun. So I love the game's grass and bushes and trees and everything there. Like, it looks really nice, but when you're running through it, like, you can see the wind pushing it around. It looks awesome. The other thing I really like too is when you come out of the cave and it sort of reveals the world and it shows the mysterious figure that you're going to go talk to. The thing that I like about that is it shows you that he's there, but it just suggests, like, hey, maybe you should go talk to this guy. It doesn't say, like, you have to go talk to this old man before you go do what you want to do. You could just go do whatever. But of course, it will remind you to check your slate so that way you know where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do. So you'll always know that you have an objective. So here's the map, by the way. That middle circle where he's at, that's your starting area. And that will be revealed when you find maps and that kind of thing. But if you zoom out, look at this. He hasn't even zoomed out the full way. Look, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's like a whole gigantic continent of things to do. This really was the last thing I expected them to show off in a new Zelda game, though. I knew that they were doing some new things. I figured the game was going to be big, but this is much more than I was expecting.
Who is this gentleman, Mr. Onuma? Would you like to share with people?
You also notice here that Link is actually talking back and forth with characters, so the old man's talking with them, but then Link is actually asking him, like, who are you, what are you doing, blah, blah, blah. See, where are we? Bye. I'm sure a lot of that stuff will be fleshed out a little bit more when the game comes out. You gotta remember this game is coming out next year. But, you know, after seeing what they have to offer here with this game right now, how big it is and how much there is to do, and all the different mechanics and everything that play into the game, I find it kind of interesting that they expected to release this game back in 2015. They thought that they were going to release this game a year and a half ago for the holiday. Here we are in the middle of 2016. This isn't coming out for another year. Or, I'm sorry, I misspoke, a year and a half ago. This would have come out 6 months ago. My fault. Thought we were in 2017. Really wishful thinking on my part, because I was like, oh, we're going to get this game soon. You can light bushes on fire, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I was still a little surprised after watching this that they expected to release this in 2015. I think that's a pretty ridiculous thought considering what they have here. Oh, woodcutter's axe. So Link has gotten his first axe.
Picked up an axe.
So we talk to the old man. Old man does, you know, says whatever, blah, blah, blah. I tend to think that this demo that they're showing off here might be a few months old. And they're basically trying... And you can cut down trees, too. That's pretty cool. But I tend to think this demo is a few years old. And that what we're watching right here is just a specific tailor-made quest for E3. I'm sure a lot of this stuff will be in the final game, but this specific thing that they're having you do, I'm sure, is like a later game thing. I'm sure the objective of your slate there is going to be different when you first awake. You know, it's probably going to tell you to go do certain little things to learn about the game. You know, I'm sure there will be certain little tutorials here and there. By the way, little forest creature, I forget what they're called. But I remember those guys from the Wind Waker. So it's obvious that we are back in the Wind Waker universe. Link might be a little bit older at this point. The art style is definitely similar. But yeah, I'm sure that the dungeon and everything that's featured in this demo is going to be in the final game. It's just that I don't think it's going to be one of those things where the game pops you out and you immediately are jumping over to a dungeon and doing whatever you want to do. I think they wanted to show a very open-ended demo here to kind of give you an idea. By the way, Sword in the Stone. It's a rusty broadsword, not the Master Sword. But they wanted to give you a vague idea, or not, I'm sorry, not vague, but they wanted to give you a, sort of like a expanded or like general idea on how the game was going to play. So I do think that there's going to be sort of a quick 10 or 15 minute thing at the beginning explaining a bit more, and I'm open to that. And I guess I could be wrong. Maybe they really are approaching this differently. That would be nice if that was the case, if it just started out just like this and you can go do whatever it is you want to do. But it's really strange playing a Zelda game that's much like the very first game, where they just throw you into the world, you go do whatever you want to do, and you try to piece it all together yourself. Because if you remember the original Legend of Zelda, you could technically start the game with any dungeon that you wanted to start with. So you could jump into Dungeon 1, sure, and you found out what Dungeon 1 was by just going into it and writing down, like, okay, this dungeon here is Dungeon 1, because it actually labels that up in the top corner when you enter it. However, if you happen to go, to the left instead of up, you probably could have found Dungeon 4 first, and you would have started with that. And then you would have found out, like, wow, there's certain things I can't do here until I find, specific abilities and specific accessories and that kind of thing. And then you would go to find those other accessories. I think that's the thing that people were really missing with the other Zeldas. Like, Ocarina of Time, obviously one of the best games ever created. However, it's very linear. Now, I think they were able to disguise that linearity by having you do a lot of like side quests and that kind of thing, like getting Epona and going to the Lon Lon Ranch and doing all the stuff in between dungeons. It kind of distracted you from the fact that you're not just going dungeon to dungeon to dungeon. But the game very much was linear. You did one dungeon, then did the next, then did the next, because you absolutely needed specific accessories and tools to get through those parts of the dungeons. This game, however, I'm not sure how they're going to accomplish all that. It looks like this Link is actually using a lot of like mind power and telekinesis stuff, that kind of thing. So maybe that's going to be the crux of his power, and everything else is just found randomly. I don't know. It's really hard to say because they don't show off any of the other tools. They don't show off boomerangs. They don't show off bombs. Yeah, I believe they didn't show off bombs, right? They have explosive canisters that you can set up, explosive barrels, and you can shoot those and make those explode around enemies and whatnot. But yeah, no grappling hook, no power glove, none of that stuff is in here, at least in the E3 demo. So you see, we got a statue here. This is, I guess, what they call the Guardian. You can search it. But apparently she's saying you're not going to find any parts, so they're not going to search. But, yeah, these Guardians here, these things, as you could see in the trailer, if you remember, they actually end up coming to life and coming after you. I'm not sure how they awaken or what's going on with them, but they apparently are pretty strong.
You're finding them in certain places and then using the food as this resource to keep...
I see a butterfly. I wonder if you can catch the butterflies as well. Be a bug collector. Now, you may have noticed that right there, that your club broke. And this, yeah, your weapons actually have a lifespan, which is really strange for a Zelda game. You get a weapon before, it's just like you have that weapon forever. There's no repairing it, there's no fixing it, it's no breaking. This one, yeah. If you're using a staff, if you're using a club, slow motion, by the way. So yeah, this club here, this could break in this battle. I'm sure that'll be adjusted in some way toward the final game, because watching these demos, it seems like the weapons are breaking far too often. But maybe that's the point. I really don't know.
Looks like I got a new pair of trousers, which I...
Now, in one of the demos that I was watching, they said that there are, I think, at least 100 chests to find in just this first area. So you can find all kinds of different upgrades for Link. Right there, they just found some new pants, which were an upgrade for them. Not by a whole lot, but it does have a different look. A lot of the armor and pants and everything has a different look. Like, the pants he was wearing before didn't have the boots with it, I believe. So it's pretty cool that whatever you put on is going to change your appearance. I'm sure it was another thing that people were highly requesting in the Zelda game was, the look and appearance to change when you put on different things. Now, that did happen in the past, but it was mainly like, okay, I'm wearing the green tunic, now I'm wearing the blue one, now I'm wearing the red one. The look didn't really change, but this Link looks a lot different. Like, there's no green tunic, and that's really interesting, the fact that they didn't start him out with his typical look. He's actually wearing pants and boots and just a regular shirt. And I'm sure the tunic actually shows up later, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be like a mainstay. It isn't going to be like a piece of armor that he wears throughout the whole part of the game. He'll probably end up wearing it for a decent part of it, or maybe even just for a dungeon or whatever, but it seems like you're going to be switching armors to sort of justify and help you in whatever situation you're in. So, for example, I know that in other demos there were parts where some of the players were going into the snowy mountains, and if Link didn't have a shirt on, or if it was a really light shirt, he'd be shivering. He was too cold. So you'd have to go and traverse the world to find warmer clothing to wear for him to actually stand the cold weather, which is, I thought, pretty interesting. Found another chest here. Oh, we got ourselves a bow. The other thing I really like about this game is its approach to the GUI, or the user interface. You gotta say, like, the notes that pop up and the text that pops up is very subtle. It's very nice. Like, anytime you're in a new area, that bottom left corner it just said, like, the plateau, and it's very subtle. It's very nice. It lets you still enjoy what you're seeing without totally overdoing it. The Legend of Zelda logo, when you first showed up, was displayed in the bottom right corner. It wasn't like this full graphic in the middle of the screen. They just wanted to show you, like, hey, this is going to be a huge adventure for you. But whenever you pick up a weapon, and whenever you check out your inventory, I just really like the look of it. It's very subtle. It's very clean. I think it really lets the world do the talking, as opposed to like having this gigantic dialogue box show up. Even when he was talking to the old man by the fire, the dialogue box when he was talking was just an oval, you know, or at least a rounded rectangle with the text in it. Very simple, very plain. It doesn't take up half the screen like old Zelda games used to. Yeah, I think it's really classy. Okay, so we're actually going to switch gears here. Actually, not even a few seconds later, that first demo that we were watching ends. And then they start up a new demo here to kind of show off a few of the other things in the game. Here they're going to show a little bit more of the combat, things that you can do to the enemies. So what we have here is, it looks like a Link in his underwear running around with an axe, which really, hey, if you want to play this game naked as Link, you know, you have that option. You can go for it. And I'm sure we're going to end up seeing people who are, you know, rushing through this game, speed running it naked. You know, they're going to be like, oh, naked speed run. Who could finish it the fastest? I'm sure we'll end up seeing that at some point. The only unfortunate thing about this first demo is they don't really get into any of the snowy mountains or anything. So if you want to see that, just check out Nintendo's YouTube channel. They definitely have a lot for you to check out, because the game is so large. It's hard to really cover everything in like a 20 minute to half hour amount of time. So yeah, like I was saying, definitely check out their channel if you want to see the snowy mountains. The one I recommend is they do one called Beyond the Plateau, because for the whole I guess the whole demonstration that they were doing on Tuesday, they pretty much only showed the plateau area, and that was all the places that people could play in when they were at E3 to play it. So what they did in another demo, and I believe this was yesterday, they did something special. They came out and they actually showed Beyond the Plateau. They showed a little bit of gameplay of in a little bit of the world beyond that, which might be a more recent version of the game. They might have brought that along with them to kind of show it off here. So here's a battle that is pretty much staged for you to take advantage of. You'll see that up above this tower, there's a boulder that you can push down on to some exploding barrels, or there's a boulder you can push down into some exploding barrels. More slow motion dodging and everything. They decide to not go up there for the boulder, but instead they're going to go after these moblins here. And one of the other things they showed in another demo too is that there are more powerful enemies as well. You might come across a group of these moblins where one of them is an elite, and you could take him out as long as you don't get hit. If he hits you, you're done for.
Just like any other day. So we do have, you know, one of the things that we're not showing in this morning segment that's going to be...
So you can pick up the barrels here.
...is puzzle solving. You'll be seeing some of that today. You'll be seeing.
So now it looks like they're going to set up a quick explosion for us to check out here. There's that skull in the distance there. I don't know if you saw it in the video, but that's another Moblin hideout, and inside there is a treasure chest. But again, in one of the later demos, the person went over to this skull, and there's a lantern inside. So if you wanted to stealthily get in there, you could actually use your bow and arrow, hit that lantern, and it drops, and there's some barrels inside, and it totally explodes everything inside and kills all the moblins, which is pretty fun to watch. And that's the other thing that's pretty beautiful about this game too, is it's got really nice looking explosions.
Okay, well,
I like that you call this setup a project, Bill.
let's see. Do I...
ほぼ何がしたいか分かりません。
I don't know what you're trying to do here, Bill.
let's see if it's close enough. Nope. Oh.
And you notice if Link doesn't have a weapon equipped, he'll go to reach back for it, and he doesn't realize he doesn't have one equipped, which is pretty wild.
Not quite.
あ、なんとなく分かった。
I'm not sure what he's aiming at.
Here, here.
There we go. Whoa!
Oh. Hey, you live. I did. I survived.
Now I think that would probably kill you in the real game, but they probably dumbed the damage meter down in the demo so that way people aren't dying and they're more or less just enjoying the game.
We have a little bit of news. I think everybody has been.
So there you go. That is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like I said, this demo doesn't cover half of the stuff that they really go over or went over all on Tuesday there. So definitely go check out those videos if you want to see other parts of the game. But that gives you a good idea of what to expect in this game. There is a lot to do. I don't think the final game is going to be as empty feeling as this is. I really think that this is just an E3 demo that, you know, you're meant to play through a little bit and just enjoy. So there you have it, everybody. That's the last of my E3 picks for 2016. I hope you enjoyed all my videos, and I will see you in my wrap-up video that I'll be releasing soon.